It's fun. Sometimes I have to stop and go, it's worth it. Yeah. No, it's great. So I actually was offered a role through Janaya, you guys at the Creative Store, which was awesome. But my career progressed from being a freelance contract graphic designer, and then I moved into the social media and marketing space. And from there, I moved into inbound marketing for tech. And once I was in the tech space, I realized how passionate I was about that industry. So I decided to move away from marketing and specialize in digital experience design. So I guess I started out as a freelance graphic designer. That's what I was trained in Melbourne, came back, and I fell kind of into freelancing by accident. My mum got an email from a principal who said, we need a new logo, do you know a graphic designer? And I just moved back from Europe, hadn't got a job yet, knew that I never wanted to work in the agency space. I always kind of wanted to work for myself because I never wanted to hit a glass ceiling or not be able to move where I wanted to move. Flexibility is really important to me. So I started out there, and then from there kind of moved into the digital space because I was offered by a friend a role within Sky City Breakers, and that was very social heavy, all about analytics, a lot of content production, video production. So that was cool. That came to an end, and I realized I'm bored. I don't really want to be doing marketing anymore. I think what you forget when you're a designer or working in that marketing space is that the clients that you work with and the industries that you engage with, that's what you're researching and that's what you have to be interested in. So if I could give anybody any advice, it's pick industries that you're passionate about or that you want to be researching, because you are going to be doing a lot of work around that. So from there I was like, well, I'm passionate about tech, so got on a plane, went to New York, went to TechCrunch, learned about technology, came back and started picking up marketing clients for tech. And from there, I was actually offered the role of BNZ through Creative Store, through Janaya, which was really cool. And that's a really unique specialist role within the digital physical experience space. So I think it's kind of weird, like you look back and you're like, wow, I've got like all these different projects that I've worked on. I guess the common denominator would be just never just say yes to everything and work really hard. Like if you have a good work ethic, if you turn up on time, you turn up early, and you're passionate about what you do, yeah, you can't go wrong. You can move into any industry or any position or any skill set that you want. There's so many resources out there. You can teach yourself things. Just have the right mindset, the right discipline, and just get out there and be brave and try new things. The biggest challenge of my career. That's a big one. I think the biggest challenge as a freelancer is kind of reconciling with the argument that you have with yourself around making money and being able to survive and keep your business going. The energy that it takes to have to market yourself all the time, because that's kind of the challenge that you deal with. But I think for me, the biggest challenge has been creating boundaries for myself and getting into a routine where my happiness and my mental health is like stable across my career, because a lot of things change all the time. Clients come and go. You can't always predict what your workflow is going to be like. So just finding that stability within myself so that, I'm really happy within what I'm doing. Yeah. Yeah, so that's an interesting question. Every client's different, but the one thing that I find that every project has in common is that first briefing is really, really critical. It's really important. The main thing for me is to figure out first what's the client's brief and what are their drivers, what's their stakeholders, what are the business development drivers, why are they wanting this project to be kicked off, because it might not always be what it seems. And then the second part, which is equally as important, is like, what's the CX and the UX? Like, what are the customer experience or the user experience requirements for this project? So in reality, who's going to be using this? What are their drivers? And are those two briefs fit for purpose? So I guess that's what I would look at when I was looking at how to build a project. I do a lot of research, a lot of relationship building, and then present back to the client make sure that that communication is really strong when you're on the same page. So that's how I would put it together. It's almost always from the onset. I'm really lucky in that all of my work's been word of mouth. I've been in business for about 8 years now, and I have a lot of long-term relationships with my clients, so they understand that in order for things to go well on the other end, it pays to involve people early on in the project. So yeah, from the onset, which is awesome. I'm a freelancer, so every day is different. Thank goodness. I love my freedom, so I try and change it up, but I follow the rule of like try and win the first and the last hour of the day. So I've got a pretty strong routine in the morning and a pretty strong routine at night. I do a lot of work in house with clients now, so I will be in their offices wherever they are, building those relationships, working closely with them. But yeah, I mean, if I'm managing smaller clients, I'll be out on the road, like just visiting different businesses, making sure that people are happy, or sitting at my computer designing things. I use the classic Adobe suite for the creative work that I do. We use Teams a lot in more of the corporate businesses, but yeah, I mean, technologies come and go. I'm kind of more passionate about human experiences and building that kind of stuff. So I think that's kind of what I'm more passionate about. But AI automation is really interesting. A lot of AR stuff that we're working with at the moment, LED technology and stuff is really interesting. Well, I think, as I mentioned before, like AR automation is huge. Like that kind of stuff is going to change the way that the workforce um, works in the future. So I think knowing as much as you can about that kind of stuff is really important and critical, especially with freelancers and the way that we work in the design industry. It's like automation that's going to really rock the world in the next kind of decade. So I'm really passionate about that stuff. But yeah, love technology. So anything to do with tech, I'm really keen on. At the moment, I'm working on a really interesting project with BNZ. We're looking at how we represent culture in the physical space, and I've done a lot of engagement with the Tainui area down in Hamilton, talking to them about creating some cultural artifacts for us and how that plays into the wider piece of the bank around how staff show up in the physical space and how people can come to work and feel like they can associate with their culture, being the Māori culture. So I'm really, really passionate about that work, and it actually was a really interesting moment recently when I realised I've actually worked on this kind of work throughout my career over the last 5 years quite a few times. I just hadn't really realised that that was that kind of work that I was working on. So I think that's been one of my really key like turning points for me in my career, where I realised when you focus on things that you love and that you're passionate about, they kind of they get attracted to you anyway down the line. So that's been really cool. We did a similar project to that with Takanini School in South Auckland, where we commissioned some cultural sculptures with the local iwi there as well, and being able to see how much those sculptures meant to those kids in school and how they could associate with their culture and understand what it meant to be Māori and what their cultural heritage was in that specific geographic location was really inspiring. So yeah, that's kind of a nice little icing on the cake, which is quite different from other work that I've done. Yeah, so I'm happy with that. Oh, I don't know. um, well, I guess I don't really like the terminology, but some people would say it's like a unicorn. So I have a wide set of skills that are pretty diverse. So I think it more depends on what the project is, because it would change from project to project. But I'd say my top skills were a combination of experience. I've been in the industry for 8 years. I've worked across design, tech, marketing, digital experience, spatial design, that content direction. So being able to not just put together a project or install a new technology, but understand what's the digital physical experience around that, what's the content that's going to play on the screen, what's the best treatment for that, how does that tie in with your marketing and your brand. I guess I would hope that I was more holistic and pretty experienced in those fields. Yeah. I think it really depends. I generally find some of the SMEs or the smaller companies are looking for someone with just one skill set because it may be budget dependent. They just need a graphic designer for one job, or something for social for one specific project. I think if they're bigger companies, they're generally looking for someone with a wider skill set or crossover in different areas. So, but I think on the whole, if I look at the way that the industry is moving, you have to have multiple skills. It's just what people are after these days, and you have to have a really strong growth mindset and ability to learn, and just be flexible and put yourself in challenging situations and flow. Yes, so I think one of the main things to me is understanding what your relationship is with your client. Um, the longer you've been in the game, the better your gut instinct becomes with the kind of relationships you might have with the client. So I'm really, really strong on gelling with people. If I don't gel with the client, if our values don't align, I generally won't engage because I'm really strong on my personal values and my personal brand. And if I can't align that with the work that I'm doing, I generally won't engage with it. Oh, get a day job. No, no. What advice would I give myself? Be brave. Just believe in yourself. Like, it's challenging. It's hard work. It's emotional. But I think what I've learned, like in the last sort of 2 or 3 years, is that there's no difference between my personal values and my corporate values or my work values. So trying to find work and trying to engage in ways that align both of those at the same time is going to make you the happiest, really. Like, you have to do stuff that you believe in and stuff that you're passionate about. So the more you focus on that at the start and try and continue to focus on that, the more fun you're going to have.